Good evening, everybody. Today is the 17th of October. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I am, of course, Farida Lazar. Welcome to Voice of British Orthodoxy. We have a lot of saints today. Our first saint of the day is Saint Colman of Kilroot, and he is from the 6th century. A disciple of Saint Ailbe of Emly, who we commemorated back on the 12th of September. St. Colman later served as Abbot Bishop of Kilroot near Carrickfergus, County Antrim, in present-day Ulster. His feast is listed in the calendar of the Aberdeen Breviary. His group chat entry is St. Colman of Kilroot, a disciple of St. Ailbe, Elvis of Emly, and Bishop of Kilroot near Carrickfergus in Ireland, 6th century. He has a Troparion, so he does have a Troparion, which is sung in the first tone. Thou hast shown thyself to be a teacher of the faith, guide of monastics, and a bright star of the church, O Hierarch Colman. Wherefore we cry to thee, intercede with Christ our God, that he will save our souls. Our next entry, this is also the Thank You entry. Next entry is for martyrs Ethelbert and Ethelred. Saints Ethelbert, and they are from the 7th century. Saints Ethelbert, and also the previous one, St. Colman of Kilroot, was from the 6th century. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah. So St. Ethelbert and Ethelred are from the 7th century. St. Ethelbert and Ethelred were brothers of St. Ermenber, who we will commemorate on the 19th of November, and grandsons of King St. Ethelbert of Kent, who is commemorated on the 25th of February. According to the Kentish royal legend, which, though it dates from the mid-11th century, is genuinely considered to be reliable, these pious youths were killed c.640 in brackets by a royal retainer named Funor. Funor wished to secure the succession of his patron King Ecgbert to the throne by eliminating Saints Ethelbert and Ethelred from the line. They were venerated as martyrs soon after their repose, and many miracles, the details of which are lost to us, were attributed to them. Their relics were translated to Ramsey Abbey in Huntingdonshire, England, c.978 to 92. The group chat entry is martyrs Ethelred and Ethelbert, princes of Kent, great-grandsons of St. Ethelbert of Kent, cruelly put to death near Aistree, near Sandwich in England. I believe I think this is the next entry, yes. The next entry is St. Louthiern, and he is from the 6th century. A native of Ireland, St. Louthiern is the patron saint of St. Louthiern, Cornwall, England. Beyond his name and connection to Cornwall, there is no information on this saint extant. It is likely that St. Louthiern is the same saint as the possibly apocryphal Louthiern, who is commemorated on the 28th of April, who is said to have been abbot of Innismution and is associated with St. Ita, who we will commemorate on the 15th of January. Remember, I just read what the entries say. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the, secular, there is no evidence or whatever. Anyway, St. Louthiern, born in Ireland, he is the patron saint of St. Louthiern in Cornwall, 6th century. He also has a troparia in the first tone. Born in Ireland and in Cornwall, thou didst win many souls for Christ by preaching and witness, O Father Louthiern. Wherefore, as we seek to emulate thy holy example, O Saint, beseech Christ our God, that he both bless us and grant us great mercy. Yeah, okay, this is the next saint. That's fine. Our next saint of the day is Saint Nothelm. Saint Nothelm served as the 11th Archbishop of Canterbury from 735 until his repose in 739. Held in great esteem by Saint Boniface, who's commemorated on the 5th of June. He is also a great friend of Saint Bede the Venerable, who we commemorated back on the 25th of May. St. Nothelm gathered source material from Canterbury and the Papal Library, and researched the history of Kent and the surrounding area for St. Bede the Venerable's Historia Ecclesiastica. St. Bede the Venerable wrote in Regum Librum XXX Quaestiones in response to St. Nothelm's 30 questions on the Book of Kings. and may have written D8, so VIII, Questionibus for St. Nothelm. During his tenure as Archbishop of Canterbury, St. Nothelm oversaw the reorganisation of the Mercian Diocese, established the Diocese of Leicester, and served as a witness on the charter of King Edbert I of Kent. St. Nothelm reposed 17th of October 739 and was buried in Canterbury Cathedral. His group chat entry just simply says St. Nothelm, 11th Archbishop of Canterbury, and a friend of St. Bede, of St. Bede and St. Boniface, and then in brackets it has 739 AD. So I don't think, yeah. Okay, right, so the 5th entry doesn't actually come up in here, which is interesting. So I will move. So there is actually a 5th entry for today, in both the book and the group chat. Saint Regulus, also known as Rule or Ryagel, and he is from the 4th century. Oh wait, I don't think I read out the centuries for the last 2 entries. St. Louthiern is from the 6th century, and St. Nothelm is from the 8th century. And this entry is St. Regulus, also known as Rule or Ryagel, and he is from the 4th century. There are several conflicting versions of St. Regulus's life. He has been described as both a monk and a bishop of Patras, but always as the custodian of the relics of St. Andrew. According to the Scottish tradition, which seems to date only from the 12th century, St. Regulus along with a group of nuns, which included St. Truduna, translated the relics of the Apostle Andrew I called, consisting of 3 fingers of the saint's right hand, the upper bone of an arm, 1 kneecap, and 1 of his teeth, from his native Patras in Greece to Scotland. This he did after an angel warned him in a dream that there was a danger of Emperor St. Constantine the Great either invading the city of Patras and taking the relics, or that St. Constantine was simply going to have the relics translated to Constantinople. Either way, St. Regulus was told he should move the relics as far as he could to the ends of the earth for safekeeping. Landing on the shores of Fife at the Pictish settlement called Kilroot, which is now St. Andrews, where St. Regulus established a monastery for his community. Monastery. Okay, I'm assuming it's meant to say in time the monastery became a place of great pilgrimage, and a hospital was even built to care for pilgrims. We can surmise that the number of pilgrims placed a strain on the community, as Robert of Nostril, prior to St. Andrew, who's built St. Regulus Church, C 1070 is in brackets, in the town of St. Andrews to house the relics. The church, which had 33-metre tall tower, which is, by the way, 108 feet, served as a landmark for pilgrims for centuries after, and today is generally known as St. Rule's Tower. Oh, we have a lot of entries tomorrow. As well. Right, the group chat entry is St. Regulus, bracket Rule and Ryagel, by tradition an abbot who brought the relics of St. Andrew from Greece to Scotland, leading to St. Andrew's adoption as the patron saint of Scotland, 4th century in brackets. So, we had 5 saints today. That final entry for St. Regulus does not appear on the Celtic Saints website. May they intercede for us before the righteous judge. God bless you all, and Amen.